Hello everyone, this is Goosebumps Godzilla, and today I'm going to be talking about the 26th Goosebumps book, My Harriest Adventure, and how Larry Boyd, who is the main protagonist in the book, is actually a werewolf, and it's not actually a science experiment. So viewer beware, you're in for a scare, and let's get started. So before I launch into this theory, I just want to say that there are going to be some spoilers for the 26th Goosebumps book, My Harriest Adventure. I'm also going to be delving into some spoilers, very minor, but I'm still going to be delving into some spoilers for Werewolf in the Living Room, which is the 17th Goosebumps Series 2000 book, and also the 42nd Give Yourself Goosebumps book. It's Only a Nightmare, I believe, and that one, I'm barely getting into any spoilers for that one, so if you haven't read It's Only a Nightmare, not It's Only a Nightmare, but All Day Nightmare, that's the name of the book, I'm sorry, but if you have not read that book, you probably should not be too cautious, because I'm only delving into a bit of the werewolf lore that's actually in the book. But anyway guys, let's get into the video. So, in the book, My Harriest Adventure, the main protagonist keeps facing this problem, is that hair keeps growing all over his body. Not too long ago, earlier in the book, he put on some expired tanning lotion called Instatan, and he thinks this tanning lotion is causing all this hair to grow all over his body, and he can't stop it from growing. He keeps trying to shave it, but it keeps reappearing and reappearing. And so in the epic twist in the end, it turns out that the whole town was an experiment. And so keep in mind, this is the main protagonist's parents are the only people who told Larry about his curse. And so basically it's a science experiment town where this scientist named like Dr. Merkin or something turns all these dogs into kids, and it's a pretty good explanation. It's really in depth, and it's a good explanation for what's happening in the book. But then there are a few things that contradict this explanation of how it's an experiment in town, and the doctor is turning dogs into humans, but it only lasts for 12 years, and by the time the person is 12 years old, they start turning back into a dog, which explains the massive hair growth. But really, I honestly don't believe that's the case. I think it's something else. Something more wolf-like, if you know what I mean. So, there is a problem with the statement that, that the whole town's an experiment. So, in the twist ending for the book, the Dr. Merkin or whatever quits doing experiments on dogs and starts doing experiments on cats. And so, yeah, so the cat he picks for one of his experiments is a middle-aged cat that the main protagonist actually played with when he was human. So he picks middle-aged animals, and so how do they have no memory of who they once were? He picked animals at a time when they can remember who they were. It's not like he picked them out just as they were born, injected them with the serum, and turned them into a human. No, it was like this long process. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense how, that an animal can totally forget who they are and be like, oh yeah, I'm a human now, and I have no memory of who I once was. It just doesn't make sense. So I honestly believe that it's not a science experiment, and most likely explanation for this is actually being a werewolf, and there is a bit of evidence to back this up. And so the first thing is the hair growth. The werewolves grow hair and all that stuff, so perfect explanation, obviously. And the fact that they turn into dogs as well. Person who turns into dog is a lycanthrope, which is basically a werewolf because wolves are dogs. So it does make sense how he is a werewolf. That explains all his hair growth. And I think the whole town can be werewolves. Because take a look in the 17th, I believe, Goosebumps series 2000 book, The Werewolf in the Living Room. So in the book, the main protagonist gets turned into a werewolf, and his dad's going to take him to the scientists. And so before the dad can take him there, the main protagonist fights his dad, turns him into a werewolf, and he announces his plans in the twist ending for the book that he wants to turn everyone in the town into werewolves. And if this theory is correct, then that could mean that in My Harriest Adventure, the whole town got turned into werewolves. And the reason everyone doesn't remember that they're werewolves is perfectly explained because of All Day Nightmare, which is the 40-second Give Yourself Goosebumps book. So anyway, in that book, the main protagonist, or really you, is actually a werewolf. It depends on what path you take, but one thing leads to another. You can turn into a werewolf. And in that time, you learn that you are a werewolf, and that after one night or so that you turn into a werewolf, you forget that you're actually a werewolf. And you can actually kind of see this in the other Goosebumps books, like, for example, one that I brought up earlier, The Werewolf in the Living Room. The kid pretty much almost forgot that he was actually a werewolf if it wasn't for the evidence that was left behind. He thought it was all a nightmare, which is kind of funny because the same thing kind of happened for the twist ending in the end of All Day Nightmare, depending on what path you take. So, in my honest opinion, I think that the whole town is a bunch of werewolves, and they keep forgetting who they are, which explains why they keep getting surprised that there's hair growth. And I think the scientists that were mentioned in Werewolf in the Living Room are here, and they're tricking everyone into thinking that they're actually dogs and stuff like that. But there's one little thing off about if they are actually werewolves, and that is, I mean, how can they be dogs 24/7? Werewolves only come out during the full moon and stuff like that. Well, there are a few explanations for this. First off, we could take the werewolf skin approach and say that they can turn into werewolves whenever they want. But I don't know, on one of my earlier videos, I figured out that werewolf skin was a hoax. I don't know. But also, it just, I really don't think so. I don't think they can take the werewolf skin approach, because if you do take the werewolf skin approach, then you have to remember that you're a werewolf. It already says in Goosebumps that you cannot remember that you're actually a werewolf. So, in my honest opinion, I'm gonna say that the scientists are doing experiments on the people of the Werewolf Town. They keep manipulating them because they can't remember who they actually are. They can't remember who they are, and they're actually werewolves and stuff, and so sort of the scientists brainwash them, sort of. And I think part of their experiment includes the shots that they always give them, and also Instatan. I think Instatan has something to do with this, because if you take a look at this skeleton ruler, I'll show you this. By the way, I got this out of Monster Blood 4. It's like a Curly the Skeleton bookmark. And, well, it may not seem like that much evidence. It actually adds up to a lot. So, I love Goosebumps. Reading is a Scream bookmark I got out of Monster Blood 4, and I'm so blessed to have it. This is one of my only pieces of Goosebumps merchandise that I actually have. So, anyway, you can look at it. And so, on the back, it has, like, oh, sorry about that, guys. Getting ready to read a Goosebumps book by Curly, and so it has 10 steps. Oh, sorry about that, guys. It's kind of hard to do this bookmark thing, but anyway, so it says getting ready to read a Goosebumps book by Curly, so it has all these steps that involve bad things, sort of like put on your haunted mask. I mean, I proved in one of my earlier videos that curly skeleton's evil and will probably only want evil stuff to happen to you. This is, you can see that all this stuff includes evil stuff happening to you in the Goosebumps universe, if this stuff actually existed. Like, put on your haunted mask. I mean, who would put on their haunted mask and not expect something bad to happen to them? Or check out your closet for Slappy and other dummies. All this stuff, reset the cuckoo clock of doom. And one of the other steps on here is rub on some Instatan. So all the other things on this list are supernatural beings and involve bad stuff happening to you. So Instatan has to be something. But what? And I think the fact that that the main protagonist stays dog all day is part of this experiment, and that's what I honestly believe. And while this may not be a huge piece of evidence, if this werewolf theory is correct, then that would explain how Larry Boyd's dog, when he's in his dog form, his eyes glow in the beginning credits for Goosebumps. You know, in the beginning credits, when the dog's eyes glow, and that's actually Larry from My Harriest Adventure. And that could be because he's a werewolf, because I'm pretty sure werewolves' eyes glow like that, sort of. And so, that's my explanation for the events in My Harriest Adventure. It's not an experiment, that's just the scientists manipulating the werewolves who do not remember who they are and stuff. But anyway, guys, tell me what you guys think in the comments section below. Do you guys think that, do you think that the explanation given in My Harriest Adventure is correct? Do you think that my explanation is correct? Or do you have your own explanation? Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so sorry, guys. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And that's the end of my video.